You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Brian Kelly is LSU's new football coach. Lots of perspectives, current players, former players, recruits, and there's one guy who kind of fits into all three of those, and that's Jamie Howard, who's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Great, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Okay, so let's just start with a very obvious one. When you hear Brian Kelly is announced as LSU's head coach, your reaction is?
Oh, man, relieved and excited. Relieved that we have a coach, but very excited that it's him because I think he's the right choice for what we really need.
Okay, let's elaborate a little there, and I want to give some context because a lot of people, and I don't think not everybody is so deep into recruiting circles, so they may not know this. But your son Walker did make a visit to South Bend, so if you would elaborate a little bit on your impressions of Brian Kelly, his football program, what you all saw when you went up to South Bend.
Okay, I think what I noticed right off the bat was, first of all, when Brian walks in a room, he has a natural way of, he's the big dog of the room, I guess. You know what I mean? He brings that attention to himself, but he's very nice and personable. He's the closest thing I've probably seen to when Nick walks into a room. It reminded me a lot of that. So, and I mean that as a compliment because Nick is the master of it. But so the other thing from the football standpoint, what I noticed that I think it was the most impressive thing, every one of those guys over there that were playing, they felt like they were proud to be playing for that school. And it just seemed like the culture was all about team unity, play for each other. There didn't seem like a lot of opting out. The guys were just really happy to be playing there.
Hey, considering that, are you surprised at all that he would leave Notre Dame?
Yeah, he told me when we were there that Scott had approached him and that he didn't think he was interested in it.
And when was that, Jamie? That was about a month ago, yeah?
For the USC game, yeah.
Okay. Because we had heard a lot of the same things, that Brian Kelly was an early target in this search and kind of had vetted things and maybe wasn't interested. So when did you learn that he was going to be the guy?
Until you guys did. And everyone always thinks that we're in the loop, but I think that's what makes Scott so good at what he does. I mean, he was always protecting whoever he was talking to. And I think the picture is coming clearer to everybody now that Scott was playing. I mean, we're all playing checkers and Scott was playing chess, and he had his guy he was focused on. And it sounds like, I think he has the same agent as Lincoln Riley, I think.
They do. Trace Armstrong. Yep.
Yeah. And it sounds like Trace was brilliant in creating a smokescreen with LSU to protect his guy with Lincoln. And at the same time, we're working on Brian Kelly. I mean, pretty incredible deal.
Yeah, how it all plays out. Scott, you're right. Scott Woodward is a master at it. He's done this at a high level for long enough, and shame on me and anyone who might have doubted whether or not this might end positively for LSU. Jamie Howard's with us. Let me ask you, by the way, have you or Walker had any contact with Brian Kelly or Tommy Rees or anyone on the – well, I guess I'm making the assumption that Tommy Rees would come, but – or have you all had any contact with Brian Kelly or anyone on the new staff since the announcement?
I think Walker reached out to Tommy Rees this morning. Forgive me, I don't know what was said, but I know Walker was calling him on the way to school. But I really don't know outside of that what was said. But I'm sure they talked.
Is it? I have to ask this for the sanity of every fan listening right now. Is it safe to assume that Walker is going to be very firm to LSU? That he's going to be?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that probably went without saying, considering. But just to have it on the record, you've obviously gotten to watch. And I guess let me ask you this question from a football standpoint. As a guy who played quarterback in the SEC and knows way more about the game than me or probably most people listening, when you watch Brian Kelly's team, specifically offensively, what
do you see and what might impress you?
It's just solid. I mean, and they have different. It's a different league he plays, not league, but different type of football that we play here. But it's a run first, control the line of scrimmage type thing, which is what people don't realize. That's really good for a quarterback. If you can establish a run, it's great for your quarterback and your receivers. It's not the Les Miles, let's have 3 tight ends and 1 receiver out there type thing. He'll spread them out and still control the line of scrimmage. So I've seen Tommy do several things depending on who they play. But he seems they can adjust. And look, he's coming into a different place where they have different type of athletes. So I think Tommy is going to adjust and kind of run whatever makes sense for whatever group of athletes he has with Max and Malik and those guys over there right now.
Yeah. Jamie Howard's with us here for a couple of more minutes. Brian Kelly named LSU's head coach. He'll be introduced at a press conference in Baton Rouge on Wednesday. Do you or Walker plan to attend that?
Really haven't talked about it. I guess after school, he and I'll talk about it if he talked to Tommy and if he wants to go to the press conference.
Yeah, it's now I'm thinking of it. The press conference is at 2:30. It may not actually work well with the school day there.
Now, Walker would love to get out of school. Yeah, no.
Wouldn't we all, man? That's like the early dismissal day. You love those days. Those were good days in the Moscona household, were early dismissal days. A lot of people have also asked Jamie about sort of like the cultural fit. So, I mean, like, you're from here, you live here, you know Brian Kelly. How does he fit here?
I think it's going to fit fine. I mean, he might not be the guy we're going to go to dinner with every night while he's in Baton Rouge, but as far as a football coach, which we're hiring him for, I mean, he's second most winning? Is the second most successful coach right now?
Among active coaches, it's Nick Saban, Mac Brown, Brian Kelly, and oddly enough, Jamie, all 3 have now coached at LSU.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Mac was an assistant here in the 80s.
Well, as far as him fitting in, I think he's a football coach first, and I think he's going to fit in great. I think you're going to see a very solid team year in and year out. Recruiting, I think he's going to do great. I'm anxious to see what other people he brings on the staff. It'd be really nice to see some of those guys because I was impressed with a lot of the guys he had over there. So I'm sure he's going to bring some of those with him.
Could you give us a little bit of insight into that, into some of the guys that you thought were impressive on staff, or maybe guys that you had developed some type of rapport with?
Well, I never really did that much. Just more with Tommy, but I got to meet Marcus Freeman, and, man, he's an impressive guy to talk to. So I hope we get lucky enough to get him. I'm sure Notre Dame's pushing for him to be the head guy, but I would love to have the opportunity for him to represent LSU.
Man, it'll be interesting to see if he ends up here, if he ends up at Notre Dame. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Luke Fickell. Who knows if he ends up at Cincinnati, maybe replacing Fickell. The coaching carousel is always an interesting time of year. Last thing, we'll let you get out of here, and I appreciate a couple of minutes, certainly the perspective. Is Walker is planning on being a January enrollee?
Yes.
So give us an update, if you would, on we know he had the injury this year, and just how he is physically and where he is with the whole process.
We're trying to. He hurt himself again in the semifinal game against E.D. White, but we're trying to figure out if he's going to be able to play in the Under Armour game now. So hopefully we'll find out Thursday or Friday. But right now he's got training, PT, everything starting up today, this afternoon after school. So he's so excited just to get that they hired Coach Kelly. There's a plan. We have a direction, and he's ready. He's ready. He'd like to move into Baton Rouge today. I think I'd be a little sad if he left that quick.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of people here. You can imagine it's buzzing around here with the news of Brian Kelly, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited to hear the news that Walker and your whole family's on board, man. Appreciate a couple of minutes as always. You're generous with your time. Thanks for squeezing us in. I'm sure I was one of probably 10,000 calls and text messages today. So thanks for making it work, man.
Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.